Hello there. How's it going? I've I I realized after I started the stream that I had disassembled a few things in my kind of in this area, and I had to quickly put it back together. But I'm here now. Um, so hello, Red. Hello, Seiko. SpaceX is doing some tests. Hello, Dave. How's it going? They're doing a spacewalk. And hi, Dark Shades. And hello, Liam. It's been a while. Um, it's good to see you all here. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I had thought about pushing the live stream or moving the live stream half an hour earlier because the sun's setting much earlier now. Or not much earlier, but it's setting earlier here. Um, the only the one good thing about it set starting when it did is I had a little bit of time to kind of work on the telescope. Not just getting the telescope set up, but I was kind of experimenting around with live view, and I let me see if this actually works. No, of course this doesn't work. So let's see. Okay, yeah. So this was one of them. This is one of the Seestars. So this is live. It was actually kind of interesting earlier. Well, and let me switch to the other one. So the other one is the moon is not visible, but I think I might be able to move it into the field of view. Let me see. Is it actually? Because I kind of had manually positioned it, but then I didn't have it tracking. Let me see if I can. Actually, let me try to do them side by side to kind of force it. Oops. Yikes. That's not right. Oh. That was a star just kind of randomly zipping. Oh, there we go. Whoa. That was easy. Well, it's a little wonky right now, the controls. But oh, wrong way. Nope. There we go. But yeah, the tracking isn't I was trying to manually trigger the tracking, but it wasn't working. But this one, I did it with the app because I was trying to figure out how to kind of lock it to the moon, and I figured out which command I needed to send, but I haven't. This is actually kind of the default branch right now. It's the code that's available on GitHub, and then this is kind of my local version that I've been working on, which I'm probably going to work on a little bit today. It was interesting because I didn't capture it on video, unfortunately, but I was watching the moon and I saw something going through the field of view, and I thought it was kind of small, and I thought it was maybe an insect or something, but it seemed too far and too small, and it was changing direction, and then I realized it was a bat, I think, or more than one bat, because it's the time of day when they come out to eat insects, and so it was kind of flying around up in the over the moon, which was kind of cool. I may have to try to get video of it next time, but yeah, this one is set to track. This one doesn't quite have it. Oops. And then of course it doesn't help that this control is a little fussy. Yikes. There we go. Like it's a problem I run. Oh, you know what? Let me try. Yeah, I run into this problem sometimes where this particular control sometimes doesn't center correctly, and so yeah, okay. And this one's working, but yeah. So you can see both of them. I hope I didn't leave the light on. Darn it. Oh well. Mostly it's going to be pointing away from the porch light. But yeah, it's I was trying to figure out how to. Oh, did you just see there was like, was it a plane or a bird? Was it a bird? Was it a plane? Was it a bat? Something flew across, like right there, and I saw it. Funny enough, on both cameras. Um, but yeah, it's drifting. I'm not going to spend the whole night watching it. It was it was SpaceX. You never know. Never know. Um, it is funny because like I'll see stuff during the day and I wonder, like stuff doing a transit of the oops, doing a transit of the sun during the day. And sometimes it's a plane, but then there's sometimes where I'm like, I'm not sure that it's a plane. I think it's a satellite, but I should try to figure that out because there's websites that'll show you with when the where planes are, and then I mean I know there's a website that'll show transits of the of like the space station and the Hubble Space Telescope, but I do wonder about all the other satellites that are always transiting the sun. Anyway, so tonight I'm probably just it's clear night, but I'm not going to be up super late. I don't think. It did look like the conditions were going to be favorable, um, so we'll see how far I can go tonight. Yeah, it's been shifting around a lot, so we'll see. And tomorrow night is kind of looks hit or miss, and Saturday night not so good. Maybe Sunday might be okay, but things because we're near the Gulf of Mexico, and a hurricane just um, uh, kind of went by us. Like we're here, and it kind of went kind of New Orleans, hit near New Orleans, or I think it was right around here. It came onshore, but we were getting a lot of rain from it, and not much in the way of wind because it was far enough offshore. But it kind of has been making the weather even more chaotic than usual. So let us see what we're going to do today. I did have a list from the other night. Um, let me see. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I've been redoing this area, and as a result, like everything's kind of messed up. Um, the video splitter I use to get my monitor onto the stream, I had unplugged it and it was plugged into something else. And what else? A USB hub I have because I have another USB hub. The problem is the splitter works connected into the USB hub, but this splitter connected right into my laptop doesn't work. So anyway, I had to quickly rewire a bunch of things, and some things may or may not be working. But anyway, so I don't want random stuff going on stream until I'm sure that all the windows are fine. Okay. So yeah, I was yeah, I'm just looking at some notes I made about the um tracking of the in the Seestar. Okay. So I was going to do a few things. I was thinking of doing another go at the deer lick group. One thing I do want to get an image of, although it's been so much time, is Pluto again. Because I figured it would be, I wasn't sure if the moon would interfere with it, but it looks like it'll be okay. All right, let me restart Stellarium. Because the problem is when I switch monitors, it gets confused. So yes, so let me switch over here so you can see what I'm seeing. So the moon is now kind of visible in what I fondly refer to as the trench of kind of my observing trench here. Now Pluto will be coming along afterwards. Maybe, let's see, in an hour. Yeah, so I want to wait until the moon is kind of out of view. So that'll be maybe in about half an hour. So in the meantime, since the moon's over here, I think I'm going to try to, actually what I should do first is, Altair is probably too far over now, but I should try to do a horizontal calibration on it. So what star is this? Enif. Is it a NIF? Okay, so I'll go to enough. And just get the ball rolling on this. I think I'll do it on this one since this one is having a hard time tracking the moon. Let's see. Come on. Seems a little delayed. Is that or it? Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Oops. There we go. Okay. So, I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm gonna stop this. The live view. I'm gonna go schedule, and again, this is the vanilla. This is the code. That's in the no local modifications to the code. This is what you would get if you download it. So I'm going to just go ahead and pick enif. Okay, and maybe this will work. Okay, so this will, now one thing, there had been some discussion of putting extra view state, but we haven't done that yet. But like right here, you see it says auto go to, but there's there's additional information that that are showing up in the logs. Let me go bring this over upstream. So this is but you can see it's auto exposure. Wait, what? I don't remember seeing that. Oh, okay. So these are the states coming back saying it's doing plate solving, auto exposure go to, and then auto go to failed. And now is it figuring it out again? Or did it give up? I had an issue in some previous live streams where the telescope the API was going offline while I was running it, and I made some change, and I committed some change, so hopefully that will not be an issue tonight. Did it give up? Let me see. No, claims it's still going to. Why? Hello, Wiley site. Long time. How's the new code? You said you're running it. Is it doing okay? Hopefully. Okay. There's a bunch of stuff happening. We really need to clean up these logs. They're kind of hard to follow. Oh, okay. Just started imaging. Cool. And what's on the... Oh, yeah. Secret page. I have a secret page. It's not that much of a secret. It's just, it was something I had put together kind of for diagnostics, but I hadn't put it in the navigation yet because I wanted to add a few more things to it, and I hadn't had a chance. Okay, it's still solving. So Cygnus loop and M33, cool. I should try to do one. Well, I'm not going to do Cygnus loop because I'm not going to be able to do a mosaic, but maybe I should try M33. The problem is I don't know if is M33 even, again, my horrible, no good, very bad horizon. Yeah, it's still not up yet. 33, yeah, and it won't be up for an hour. Wait, no, more than an hour. Always do that. So, yeah, hour and a half it'll be up. Bummer. So, actually, I did make some note of, oh, darn it. Okay, I did make some note about some Messier objects that I hadn't been able to image previously. M55 and M39. Pretty sure. I tried those and I failed, I think. They were still on my list at least. So I'll have to give those a go once I figure out if this is... Okay. Did it fail on the plate solving? It says stopped. Method sync. Again, I have it in a fairly verbose log mode, but it's not super helpful. Well, it's helpful, except if you're trying to dig out stuff from it. Yeah, let's go to live view and see what it's doing. Okay. Let's see. It should be in... Oh, hey, target name. Well, that works. That was something that was requested. Someone asked why. Oh. Huh. I wonder if it's... Got confused. Let me try a different target. Let me try a different target here. So instead of enif... Oh! Well, that was silly. The time was wrong, and so I picked enif, but it really hasn't risen yet, so that's why it failed. Let's do Altair. Altair should work. So schedule, clear, image, Altair. Helps if I knew how to spell. You may have heard my voice because I accidentally unmuted myself. Or the local version I have. Oop, not 240, 24. And submit, start. Okay. I need to bring up live view on my tablet. It was disconnecting every time the screen locked. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a roof. Yeah, sorry. Part of the reason why it might seem complicated is it's not particularly complicated. It doesn't help that I'm trying to do development and demo it and get some observing done all at the same time. So you're right. It looks more complicated than it should be. I mean, than it is. That said, probably the easiest way to get going, there's a standalone binary. I think that it needs to be updated. Like if you're running Windows, there's a all in one binary you can run, and then you just point the web browser. If you just have one Seestar and it's on the same network, you run the binary and it'll find the Seestar, and you can bring up this web interface and start doing things with it. Or if you have a Raspberry Pi, um, yeah, it's so the binary's a little out of date. Yeah, we should get that updated. If you have a Raspberry Pi, that's also a little bit out of date, but there's an image that you can just burn onto a SD card, and just, again, by default, you bring it up, you boot up the Raspberry Pi, and you just point the web browser at it and go. Um, but because I'm trying to do development at the same time as I'm showing it off, it's a little, um, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it has come a long way. I mean, it was the web the API that Kai wrote has been enhanced quite a bit in the last few months. And then there's the web interface and the live view, which I wrote parts of it, but a lot of other people have written parts of it. Wiley's site has added a lot to it. And other people who will be on the stream sometimes have added stuff to it. So it's, it has come a long way quickly. And if I had more time, there'd be more stuff on it. I've been trying to focus on the live view. Yeah, it definitely has been a group effort. And like, I feel like the API had kind of been, like, I'd been making some changes, and Wiley's site had been making some changes to the API itself, but then, like, there's a lot of good enhancements that have been made by Kai recently, having to do with mosaics, and he's working on like a unified scheduler. So if you have more than one Seestar and you set up a mosaic, it will split the panels of the mosaic to multiple Seestars. But yeah, it was a big effort. Cosmic Ray, I think I saw you on the, were you on the chat? Not the chat, the Discord server? Because I saw someone named Cosmic Ray show up, and I was like, I think that's the Cosmic Ray. But that's great. I'm glad you got that running. Yeah, the half moon. This is live. I mean, it's always unfortunate because, like, you look at it and you kind of, it's sometimes hard to tell that it's live, but every once in a while, like a plane or a bird or something will go in front, and then you're like, oh, okay, that is live. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's, I mean, one thing about the API is, because, I mean, the app, it would make the default app a lot more complicated if they had every option that that the Seestar was capable of. But we're not, well, especially for something that's, you know, kind of targeted. They probably don't want to have to deal with a lot of support, and they're making, you know, thousands of them, of the telescopes. And so, but one of the things we want to do, or Kai has wanted to do, is add things kind of to expose the intrinsic functionality of the telescope into an API and now into the web interface. And so it's still a work in progress, but like there's definitely some knobs in there that the app traditionally didn't offer. They've added some of the functionality recently in the app, but a lot of it they still haven't. So it's cool. And yeah, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, it's at least my personal goal is to make it kind of, I mean, even for my own sake, I want to make it kind of as low touch as possible, so that I can focus on, you know, figuring out what I'm going to image with my terrible skies, and not kind of focus on the code as much. But yeah, so it's, definitely usability is something that I'm keenly interested in making it better. Um, okay, so it found Altair. I might oh, sorry, this version of the app or this version of the web interface doesn't have the folk being able. Oh no, it does. Sorry, I was like, it doesn't have the button to do focus, but I don't need the button. I can go to commands and I can go start autofocus, and then I can quickly go back to live view, and you should be able to see it starting to do once it loads. You should be able to see it starting to autofocus. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how old of a version you have of the software, but yeah, so you can see the autofocus is in progress here. Um, yeah, it's updating. It's kind of slow on the update, but yeah, there's been a lot of enhancements to it. I don't know how current the version you're running, Dave, but like the live view stuff. I mean, that's now a few weeks old, but there's enhancements. I mean, like even today, some things have been added. Yeah, you're running under Bookworm. Trying to remember, is that like the latest? Because I think that's what I was running. I think. Yeah, Okie text. That would be cool. Okay. Well, it's not turned. Live view isn't turned on by default. There's a setting. Yeah. What Wiley site said. You have to enable it. Um, if you go into the config file under web UI, there's a experimental flag. Mostly because it still has some issues. Like I was saying, there was a problem with where it would disconnect. The web interface would disconnect. Well, the web interface talks to its own backend, which talks to the API, and that the API was locking up, or it wasn't. It was waiting for a command that never got a response to, and because like if the telescope disconnected briefly, anyway, I think I fixed it. So the latest version of the code that's checked in fixes that issue. It's not a visible issue, but it should. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if if you have the latest image, I mean, if you've updated it to the latest, it'll be there. Now the Pi image I made might be a little out of date, but it can be updated. Yeah, under config toml. Yeah, just read what Wiley Site said. Um, okay, so cool. This is working. So let me see what target I'm gonna try. I can't do M33 yet. Can't do Pluto yet. M39. Where's M39? It's like completely other side of the sky, I think. But it was another mess. 39. It was another Messier object that yeah. Let me do M39. It's just what do you call it? A open cluster, but I may or may not have imaged it last time, but I'll image it again because if I don't, and then I have a bunch of cloudy weather, and then it kind of will rotate out of view, and or it'll be in a position where I can't see it. So let's look at this. Well, so the Pi image, the Pi image cosmic ray, it's kind of was like a point in time. So like I made a video describing the Pi image, and I have a link to it. Let me see if I can find that quickly. But it's like I say, I need to update it, so I don't necessarily recommend getting. Oh wow. Oh okay. It's almost a month old at this point. I mean, you could put, wrong, wrong copy and paste. Um, you could potentially, if you already have a working copy, don't bother with this image. But if you don't have a working copy, this should help you get started. But it's a terrible URL, but I need to customize it. Maybe I'll update the image over the weekend. And so yeah, there's this hidden page, the system page. And let me go look at that and see if that was an oversight on my part. Yeah. So basically what this does is I created it to try to figure out the issues with the where it was sometimes that thing doesn't go off screen. Where I created this to help troubleshoot the issues where the API, remember I was saying it was locking up. And so I wasn't sure how it was locking up. There's a few different ways it could have locked up. Like it could still be trying to wait for something internally, but it wasn't responding to the web request. Or it could have just completely locked up internally. So I wanted to try to distinguish those. And so, I mean, it's kind of internal diagnostic stuff for the Seestar Alp software itself. Nothing to do with the Seestar. Although that is something that could probably be added here, where like its connection to the Seestar. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if there's a way I can do this, but I'll have to think about that. But I've had kind of I've written these systems in the past where you kind of send something to the remote server and kind of keep alive. It's called keep alive. You send a message saying, this connection is still valid. And that's what the software is doing internally when it's talking to the Seestar. It's just sending stuff. And the app does it too, just to make sure that it's still kind of, when it needs to send a command to the Seestar, it's already talking to it. But one thing I had done is I added like a very precise timestamp to the message, not with the Seestar, but with this other system. And when it responded, it would actually send it back. And I could use that to figure out how quickly the device responded. We might not have that ability directly, but we do track when responses came back. So we could potentially do that to figure out and that could help figure out if the connection is slow, like if your network isn't good. Anyway, so Stellarium, no, you can point. I'm trying to remember how that works. Yeah, no, because let me pull up the configuration file here. At least in the case of Stellarium, where is it? Stellarium port. I thought there was like let me see, Stellarium. Oh yeah, I don't have it defined, but if you define st host, maybe it's in the example. Yeah, so st host is the Stellarium host, and by default it's local. It's set to localhost, but if you run the Seestar ALP software on a Raspberry Pi, you could set this to your Windows computer. Now you'd have to know the IP address ahead of time or log into or if it had like a host name, I guess you could put that there. Like if you have like cosmic win, um, or like Windows, whatever your Windows computer is, and then you set that ST host to that, and it will connect to Stellarium. Yeah, you don't need to have anything but Stellarium. Yeah, so you could have That's what I was saying. Like Seestar Alp can run on the Raspberry Pi, and you just run Stellarium locally, and you wouldn't even need to be running it unless you use that functionality in Seestar Alp. It's optional. Like I don't ever use the Stellarium functionality. Okay. So I was going to go to where was I going to go to? M39. M39. And I'm going to do 15 minutes and go and am I going to regret this? Let me stop and restart that, because again, this is something that needs to be fixed at some point. Okay, so okay, and submit and start. And is it running? Did I start it? Is it running? Okay, fine. I guess I didn't really press it. Didn't press it firmly enough. Yeah, so I restarted it because there's still that issue where if you're in live view mode and it's showing you the star preview, the kind of the continuous exposure, and you start stacking, it won't actually show you the stack unless you've started. It won't show you the stack unless it's already stacking when you go to live view. Currently, that's one of the things I'm trying to fix, but I haven't had a lot of opportunities to do it. That's what this preview versus stack button is. And I'm going to try to fix it today, hopefully. But I'm going to leave the one on the moon for now. Where's the noob manual? Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a good point. I should. Oh, yeah. Pi image was easy. Noob 2. Yeah, I mean, that said, like we have all these little bits of information, but we don't, like there isn't like a video to rule them all. On a beginning to end video, or there have been, but it keeps getting updated. The software gets updated so frequently that some of the information might be out of date. Yeah. I like that. Change the loading text to be a dino game. Yeah. No, I like that. I'm gonna make a note on that. I like those, not quite Easter egg things, but yeah. I mean, I've had there was some website I was using recently. No, you know what it was? It was a computer. It was some software that was kind of setting up a work computer, and while it was loading all the software, it took like half an hour or more. It actually had like a Space Invaders game in the installer. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, and then Discord is a good source of information, and I personally I've helped some people who were having some difficulty. I mean, I've helped people on the main Discord server or on my Discord server, but I've also had people direct message me, and I've helped them sort it out. So you've locked up live view, and you're running you said you were running the lightest code. Yeah. See. Oh, it says it's stacking. Nice. Let me go to live view then. Hopefully. Oh, okay, good. It's actually stacked some frames. That was fast. See, sometimes this is the one that tends to work quickly. I'm still confused because maybe I was talking long enough. Oh, nice. I think I did image this the other day. Darn it. That's fine. It looks cool. It looks cool. It isn't showing any image at all. And the frames keep incrementing. Yeah. I have also had that happen before. I think there's just a lot of resiliency that needs to be added. And this is exactly why, although as much as people want the live view and a lot of people are using it, like when I first put it out there, I knew it was going to be problematic, and just so I couldn't say I didn't warn people. That's why I ended up adding that experimental flag that you have to explicitly go and edit the config file and turn on experimental. Like this. you have to turn it on, or it won't show you the live view tab. I mean, it's fine. It's not like it causes any harm. It's just, sometimes if you're imaging something and then you have live view up and it's doing some other stuff, it could leave things in where you have to make a decision like, do I want to restart the back end and stop the mosaic or like the workflow I have for the evening, or do I just kind of deal without it? And that was also one of the reasons why I had that system tab, because I wanted kind of the ability to maybe kind of, maybe I need to do that. I need to think about that. Basically a way to turn off live view without stopping what it's doing, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like where basically it kind of restarts these back-end processes that are these things. So Wiley Site said he didn't see this. Well, this one, I mean, for mine it makes sense. But actually, let me look. Mosaic thread. I'm going to try to not make this all development tonight. Okay. Mosaic thread. And there's the thread. And see what happens. I mean, you don't have to really follow all the code, but while it's kind of going through things, and then it does autofocus, and then it starts. I thought I added the code there. Am I looking at the right version of the code? Yeah, I'm looking at the right version of the code. Is it last run? I have it on the heartbeat, receive message, scheduler, heartbeat, receive message, streaming. Why wasn't it on a mosaic? That was a very obvious oversight on my side. Hold on. Like I say, there will be a test at the end of the stream. Scheduler's not running. Mosaic set setting, autofocus, start stack. Okay, so this is, oops. Okay. I think this is where I want to do it. So basically, this part of the code is where if you have 10 panels, 1,000 seconds, it divides 1,000. I mean, basically the sleep time per panel is like how long is it going to spend on a specific panel, and it just kind of loops around. Yeah, until it's done, and then it exits. And it basically, for each second, it waits a second, and then it checks internal state, so that way you can kind of cancel it while it's running, instead of just waiting the entire time, sleeping the entire time. Anyway, but yeah, I needed to update this so it kind of can track it. Yeah. So Cosmic Ray asked, does the web GUI show what Alp version is? And that is not there, and we definitely should need to do that, because that is a version string. And actually, somebody who, if anybody was industrious, we could also have it where if it's online, the software would also tell you if there was an update available. You could just check GitHub and see, is there something newer? If we wanted to be really fancy. But definitely we should have the version string there. That would be highly useful. So this thing's going to run 15 minutes. It's already gone for 9 minutes. Let me go back to this. Go back to the live view. Just making sure that the moon's still visible, that it hasn't gone behind a building. I was going to leave it until... Is it already? Oh. I'm going to... No. I'm facing the wrong direction. Okay. It should actually be disappearing any moment now. So I'm going to leave that going. But yeah, thanks. I appreciate the questions and the suggestions, because I do actually... A lot of what you see here has either been suggestions, or people asking questions, or people making suggestions or asking questions like, why can't I do a live view? And it was something that I wanted to add, but yeah. No, I mean, actually, yeah, I mean, it wasn't just you. It was also Cosmic Ray was on one stream asking about, like, because I had the app running at the time, because there was no live view, and I was like, yeah, questions were asked, and it was something that I was on my list of things to do, and I guess it came at the right moment that I was like, I need to go ahead and just start looking at this more in depth. It ended up being, anyway, it's neither here nor there. But then, yeah, like I implemented it, and then the stretching looked terrible, and then yeah, Seiko was like, oh, what about Graxpert? And it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me look at that. Anyway, but yeah, so it's I do appreciate all the suggestions and questions, because it does genuinely help make it better for everybody, which is also one of the things I like about doing kind of these live observing streams, because people who use the software, and sometimes it's I mean, like Wiley Site contributes, and I've contributed, and there's other contributors who will sometimes be on the stream. So like it's all it's a good. I mean, that's it's not the reason I do it so much. It's I mean, because I was doing these live observing streams before I had. Actually, it's funny. I wasn't. It goes. Actually, it goes further than that. Like Seestar Alp was something I wanted to use, but I hadn't used it yet. But I was just using the apps. I had like my phone and the iPad app running on the two telescopes, and Wiley Site was like, "Oh, I'm using it now," and it took like no time to set up, and I'm like, "Well, I need to start messing around with it." And so yeah. Um um no, I haven't worked out why I did a single page, but I have decided that I'm going to break it back out into multiple pages because when I first did, maybe it made sense for me to consolidate it because the um, because there wasn't much functionality on here. Like you had the different modes, but that was it, and then the current state. But now that I have the controls here, and I'm wanting to add more of the kind of control functionality, like being able to start stacking, triggering autofocus. Now a lot of those are they work in different modes, but then there's some like the like how the moon is locked on. It's that's a very specific function for basically the sun, moon, and planet modes. Um, and that don't apply to the stellar mode. Um, so yeah, basically the UI will be different, slightly different for the different modes, and yeah, so I'm gonna split it out back. I mean, it'll probably share. It won't be complete. The screens will be separate, but they'll be sharing a lot of the same internal code. So it's not like I'm going to create a whole bunch of new live view screens. They'll be building blocks that will be kind of combined for the different modes. But the other thing is like cleaning this up where, you're not going to flip between lunar mode and solar mode generally. And even if that was something you really wanted to do, you can I'll switch it to be like stop what you're doing and then you can go back in and pick solar mode. So this one finished. That's good. That was only 15 minutes. That was relatively short, but it was open cluster. I usually don't go too crazy, and plus the moon's up, as we can see. So that is done. M39. Now M55. I need to see if M55 is still. I'm trying to finish up all the Messier objects that are visible now, because I've been slowly going through them, but I still have dozens that I still need to image. I haven't been as diligent about it as Wiley Site has. Stellarium, supposedly the moon. I mean, this thing isn't 100% accurate, but supposedly the moon's about to disappear. So I'm kind of wanting to just leave it until it starts going off frame. But in the meantime, let me see. So what was it? It was M55. Oh. M55 should be visible. So let me do that. I'll do another 15-minute on this one. Schedule. And that's, even though it's near the moon, it'll be fine since it's a globular cluster. All right. And okay. All right. Start, submit. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's one of my, you cannot add to a schedule when it's running. And that's honestly, that's not ideal. That's frustrated me a few times. Um, that said, there's like it could be trickier than it might be obvious, or it could potentially be tricky because there's multiple threads, kind of processes internally accessing the schedule, and if we're not careful, we could cause some problems. But there is an I, all this is all of this is developed in GitHub, um, and there is, I believe, an issue where I added because that's one of my own kind of personal um, things that I'd like to fix, or somebody could fix it. Let me see. What is it? It was what was it? Schedule ability to skip or got. I don't or got. Go to next object. I thought there was. I'm sure I added it somewhere in here. Just don't know. No. Anyway, yeah, no, it's something I definitely would be good if we added, and unfortunately, that is a known limitation. So the yeah yeah, for the list of additions, but yeah, autofocus and light pollution filter. Um, when you add certain targets, like if like M55, um, well, autofocus, if the autofocus fails, the whole panel fails. So the idea is that you would try to autofocus it before you start taking the exposure. So that way, if you're like doing a mosaic of 9 panels, it doesn't just completely fail a bunch of stuff just because the autofocus didn't work. Now the light pollution filter actually does get checked depending on the target. Now in the case of M55, it's a globular cluster, so normally you don't do that. But like M42, bad example. But let me do M20, M16, Eagle Nebula. So I look at that, and it should have checked it, but it didn't. But yeah, the idea is that it actually, the code looks it up, and depending on the type of object, it should check the light pollution filter. I don't know why this didn't do that, but yeah. Is it did that? It's weird. Yeah, so let me, so yeah, and Wiley Site mentioned that there's issues with the latest version of the app itself where it does weird things with the light pollution filter and autofocus. Yeah, an indication of failed frames. Like this should be imaging now. Home. Is it not? That's weird. Is it not imaging? Yeah, it Is there a log of failed frames? Mm, I mean, if you have debug logs on, you'll see the messages in here. But it's a lot of chatter. But it does actually, there are events that say like a frame failed. Yeah. Plus, if you, like Wiley Site said, if you go into the app and you go into settings, you can turn on, you can enable save to saving of failed subframes, and it will add underscore failed to the file name. So you can just look at the files and all the subframes and you'll see the ones that failed and ones that didn't, and they're time stamped. But theoretically in the logs, if you have debug logs on, you'll see it, but otherwise there isn't. That is a good thought. That might be something we should surface, honestly. I like that idea, actually. Log explicit logging of failed frames. Because, yeah, I mean, if you're getting a lot of failed frames, maybe we could do like a warn message, and then it's more obvious through all the, so then you don't have to have like all this level of logging turned on. Yeah, it's yeah, it's if you look at the early presentations, which were really, I mean, they were very eye-opening and there was a lot of neat stuff. But yeah, like a lot has happened since, a whole lot, all in the last few months. Yeah, since May or June, something like that. A lot of stuff has changed. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I wrote this locally. Let me create an issue for that. I mean, anybody can create issues on the GitHub repository. I'll drop it in here, but I'll go ahead and create this one. New issue. Explicit logging, log message when failed. Explicitly log message when a failed frame, when a frame fails. Perhaps we could add it at the warn log level. There is also a reason why it failed, perhaps. If so, we should include that as well. Yeah. Yeah, the failed. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of yeah, I mean that's a very fair point about including the frames and the failed frames. There's been stuff that's been added to the live view that hasn't been added to the stats page, but some of it has been added to the stats page. And really it would be nice, yeah. Those are things that should be added to the stats page. If it is stacking, it should include how many frames have gone, how many have failed. That's why it failed. I thought, I don't know if I'll actually be able to image that target. It might be too low. Darn it. That's why I wasn't able to image it last time, M55. So next one. Actually, let me create another issue. when stacking, include more info on stats home pages, including failed and successful stack frame stack counts. Okay. Did CWO update to show that? I mean, the information's visible internally, so we can show it pretty easily. So this supposedly was visible, but in practice, it's not visible. So actually, let me look at Messier. What other Messier objects I do not have yet? I'm surprised that the moon's still visible. Like, supposedly it should have gone behind a building, but it's still there. So let me see. Oops. Okay. So let me see. M2, I'm pretty sure I have a lot of these, if not all of them. Oops. Let me take this off screen so I can check it out. Check out my local, my NAS where I have all of my images. Does the Seestar origin? I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I know they have software. I forget which one they use, but I don't know if it has all those stats. I would hope. I would hope for, what do you call it? 8 times the price of Seestar. I would hope it would have that, but oops, come on. Sometimes the thing won't dismiss. I tried to connect to my NAS and the what do you call it? The hard drives are all spinning up, so that took a little bit of time. Okay, so let's see what Messier objects are visible right now. Okay. Okay, come on. Okay, let's see. I don't have M2? Is that possible? That doesn't seem likely. That seems really unlikely. I don't have M2. How did I miss M2? Okay, where's M2? I don't know how I would have missed M2. Maybe I was always focusing on something else. Let's do M2. Because this is a boring view. Schedule, clear, image, M2. And I'll just do, okay, start. Okay. So what else? Let's look at, I'm really surprised that the moon is still there. And I can see kind of the shimmering effect, so I know it's still, that's very weird. I need to redo my Stellarium horizon map because clearly it's a little off. If it says it's still, if it says the moon, yeah. Anyway, so let's look. Is it a Pi 4 in the origin? I mean, it wouldn't completely surprise me. The Pi 4 is like people use it for a lot of things. Um, I know there's so ZWO doesn't. I mean, we that's kind of a what do you call it? I would never. I won't say never, but I don't know. I know that's a concern for some people, and it's one of the reasons why I personally have stopped updating my app on my phone because when you update the app, it updates the firmware, and it's working fine right now. So I've stopped updating my app because my that is a concern that they might do something that might mess up things. And I know there have been some changes, um, and a lot of it's changes in behavior. It wasn't like explicit stuff that break was done to break third party consumers, but yeah, I mean that would be yeah. Hopefully nothing like that would happen. But part of me, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's. I don't know what the advantage for them would be to do that. Um, because like whatever they would end up doing would be. I mean, when you have devices in the field, like to have some yeah, and it's not like the Seestar itself has a ton of horsepower. So if you're like encrypting all kinds of stuff to try to keep people from seeing what the communication is, like yeah, I don't know that that would really it would produce potentially a worse experience for no value for the customer, the average customer. Um, good Seestar app version. I mean, the version I'm running is um I mean, there's people who are running the latest, um, and it does have some caveats. Okay, that is so weird. That is so weird. Like my app, my phone wasn't connecting to my Seestars for the longest time, and I haven't updated the app, and I just brought it up, and it connected to the one showing the moon view. I'm not exactly sure which version I'm running. It's a pre 2.0 version. Oh, darn it. I didn't mean to do that. Shoot. Did not mean to do that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. And we have talked about coming up with a list of like versions we know work. Because there's some people who've been working on who've been using the beta or even alpha versions, and so they were seeing some things, and it would kind of there'd be some broken behavior, but then they'd fix it, or some of it they fixed on subsequent releases. But anyway, oh hey, finally, finally, it's the moon's it's getting eclipsed by a building, so we'll find I didn't want to stop imaging the moon while it was still visible, but it won't be visible for long. So I can look at what other objects I might not have gotten. M50s, 55 and 56. How is this possible? Okay, no, I've had 56, but I haven't done M55. Oh, that was the one I tried to image and it was too low. Never mind. Um, the moon, it's being eaten. Um, do I have? I'm pretty sure I have M52. I don't have M52, so I have to add that to the list. 52. Yeah, it's because it's doing auto exposure. It's trying, once it gets below a certain amount of moon visible, it starts like trying to overcompensate the exposure. I mean, that happened during the eclipse when when the crescent sun got to a certain point and the exposure kind of got weird. But yeah, you can. So that is about gone. So let me see, M75. I do have M75. Pretty sure do I have M71? I do have M71. M34. Do I have M34? I do have M34. And ones that I recognize, I'm just totally skipping over. So let me go back to, yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so the firmware version I'm running is 276, which is from the 1.x version. And hello, Joe V. Welcome to the stream. The moon just disappeared behind a building, so I'm about to point this one at another target. And actually, I need to see, what did I do? Where did I last leave this one? It is stacking. Oh, and so let me go live. Okay, M55. Wait. Oh no, M2. Sorry, there was a lag on that, so M2 is in progress. And then the left one I'm going to do to M52. Okay. Schedule image M52. And I'll do that and start that. So then this will start working. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where you are, Cosmic Ray, but yeah, the moon wasn't too bad, but the like I was outside setting up and we had a bunch of rain from this kind of hurricane that kind of went by us, and it had been raining, but before that the mosquitoes hadn't been an issue, but I think I got bit by something, and I think an ant bit me on my foot. Yeah, humidity. It's that'll be one of the nice things going into fall. It gets a little less, at least here, it gets a little less obnoxious, but it's still humid, but at least it's not as bad. So let me see. Actually, darn it. How long was I going to do this one for? Because I forgot one of my original missions was to try to get Pluto again. Yeah, I might have to stop this one. Yeah, I'm going to stop this one because I definitely want to get Pluto. I mean, this one's a fairly small globular cluster, so that's fine. I have it now. And so I'm going to shut that off and then go schedule, stop, clear. and go to, actually, I always forget, it won't look up Pluto. Oh man, yikes. Okay, so Pluto um, is 20 hours, 9 minutes, 33.9 seconds. Mine is 23 degrees, 26 minutes, 48.1 seconds. J2000, I'll try to do 20 minutes. I'll do half an hour. And go. And start. And did I hit start? Okay, I hit start. It was just a little. Okay. Yeah, I forgot I was wanting to get Pluto again. Yeah, the tragedy of a Bortle 3. Yeah, Ohio Valley. Oh, West Virginia. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Gulf of Mexico, so it's pretty humid. Yeah, Bortle 4. Oh, Poconos. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, cool. So once these are on target, I'll bring up live view. Actually, since this one's my dev version, I'll go ahead and bring up live view. Because I really want to fix the ability to switch between live view and although that's not promising it's doing the 3-point alignment right now. Wow, it is really complaining. The back end, it's really complaining about not being able to. The live view is messed up, at least right now. Interesting. Yeah. So that one is trying to do M52. Oh, because I had this on the moon. It hadn't done the dark calibration yet. So that's fine. Meanwhile, this one, it has started stacking Pluto. I'll go to it in a little bit once I'm sure. This is where having the frame count would be, the successful frame count would be handy before I switch. I always forget to turn this off, but night shift is on. Night shift mode is on, so it was like starting to yellow the screen. Yeah, I know. If I had the telescope mounted higher, I'd have less problems. But the problem is my roof is dangerously high, so I haven't yet. Seestar satellite. Somebody was talking about that in the Discord server, I think, and they think it tracks fast enough that it would work. There's some people who are using it for some I hate it. I always have a problem with this word. I don't know why. Astrometry. They use it for like measuring variable stars and stuff and looking for transient kind of novas or whatever. But yeah, one of the things that would be nice would be someone was recently talking about trying to they want to get theirs to track satellites. Yeah, yeah. I mean, theoretically, theoretically, I would think it would be doable. Maybe. I don't know if the mechanism is, and I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how much the field would rotate while it was tracking. But the camera is live. I mean, it's live in lunar mode, but it is live otherwise as well when it's moving. So theoretically, it should be doable. And I know there are some people who've talked about it. I'm gonna have a sip here. Realized I hadn't had any water yet. Yeah, that's cool. If you haven't liked the video, feel free to like it. I need to be better about doing that, about saying that, but I don't. This should be stacking. Why isn't it showing up? Oh, is it still throwing that error? It's still erroring. Oh no, it's not erroring. Supposedly, is it updating? No, this hasn't updated. That's why. Let me hit reload. And there is a link to the system tab, but only locally. I didn't commit that. Yeah, they seem to be, interesting. The fact the image isn't showing up. It's very interesting. Wait, what was that error? It just, okay, never mind. It's very strange. So because this is a development version, I can stop and restart it. And I'll just manually stop this target. One of the interesting things is because of the way the front end kind of checks the back end, I didn't have to reload the page. The front end detected that the server was back, and when the image kind of went to loading state again. Yeah. So the LX200 uses a stream of go-to commands. That would be interesting. Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. Like and subscribe. Yeah, I need to be better about that on my live streams. And actually my videos in general. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your support. No, I mean it's good, and it's I mean I know there's people who've stumbled across the live streams that end up joining like Discord server, my Discord server, or the Seestar Alp Discord server, and so yeah, it's helps bring this to more people, and it does help. Now, why isn't this? And of course, I'm like, it's the perfect sales pitch. Why isn't this working? Yeah, it's like, this software is fantastic. Dang it, why is it broken? No, that's so weird. Oh, yeah, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, yeah. As far as Seiko, yeah, you appreciate Yeah, why isn't it? It's like, it's strange. I mean, is it actually, I mean, it should be, but I don't see anything that it's actually getting the images from the telescope. Actually, I forgot. I I forgot. I still have the app running. That might be part of my problem. It's the Seestar is limited by how many connections you have, and the fact this is tying up a connection might be, and like what happened one evening, I had forgotten I had another copy of the app running, of the Seestar ALP software running on a Raspberry Pi. And so I was running into all kinds of weird issues. That's probably what's going on here. But you can see I got the open cluster nicely. So um let me restart this. I hate that when I do that. See, that's why I want to get it to the point where I don't have to use the app anymore and I can do 100% of everything in here, because then I don't run into these situations where I have to use the app for like these corner cases and then I forget it's running. What was it I wanted to do with this? Oh yeah, restart imaging threads. So weird. I mean, it's not failing a lot, which is good. Oh, there it is. Oh, is that actually, is that an artifact or is that real? Let me look that up. M52. Come on. That is real. Oh, that's the bubble nebula. What do you know? Oh, darn it. I should have picked like a midway point and then gotten both in one image. Well, I think actually, maybe I have imaged it. And the problem is with the Seestar, the default software, it will, like, I may have pointed it at the bubble nebula and then kind of manually kind of tweak the position to get this cluster. But then the image was tagged with the bubble nebula's NGC number and not M52. So maybe I did actually get M52 in the past, but not like this. It would have been with the bubble nebula. But that's cool. I didn't even intend that. Yeah. Deal with that. Yeah. Yeah. Am I the only one out there streaming Seestar? There, I've seen a couple other people, um, but like one of them, a couple, maybe more. But I like one of them. I don't know that he consistently does it. He might do it with a bunch of other like he has several telescopes, and it'll be one of them he'll image. Um, but as far as like mostly Seestar, I don't think there's many. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, as far as live streaming, yeah, I don't know many. Um, yeah, two per Seestar, and I think the problem was, yeah, especially if the software is misbehaving and it ends up holding on to an extra connection, it might hit that too unintentionally. Yeah. Yes, Astor Room. That was one of the other ones. She, I think, is Seestar only, and she does do a lot of the firmware updates. But because I've had some firmware update videos, especially there was one where I was warning people about a broken update few months back. But I think since I started using this and I've kind of been less focused on the updates, yeah, I haven't done anything like that, and I don't know if I will anytime soon, because I've been more focused on the front end. Although I have kind of gone back and forth on either taking one of my Seestars and updating it to the latest firmware, or getting another one, Maybe Santa will bring me one for Christmas, or there'll be a new model out or something. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't been in a hurry to update. I mean, there is some interesting functionality with the kind of the new native mosaic mode, um, but there's also some downsides to the way it works. It is problematic if you try to use it with equatorial mode. It's kind of not ideal for that. Yeah. I'm definitely not a beta tester on ZWO software, but there's at least one or two people that I've run across that, like in Discord, that do alpha and beta testing. So I'll hear about functionality, but I haven't run the beta. The only beta software is the stuff that we're writing here. Yeah, and a new model refresh. Yeah, like earlier when I had the moon imaging set up, I like both of the telescopes completely messed it up. They completely pointed. One of them pointed like 120 degrees away from the moon and then gave up. And then the other one I didn't even bother, and I ended up manually. So what you saw with the moon on the one, or both at the very beginning, I had both pointed at the moon. I actually did all the manual control of targeting it through the app. I had my laptop outside and I was using that little the control on the live view to move them. But yeah, it's I don't know where I was even going with that. But oh yeah, I think that was my thought at the time. Was like, I know the Dwarf has dual cameras or something. One's like a really wide camera, so it'd be easier to target things like the moon, where you could have kind of a wider field, and then you can kind of like a finder scope, a digital finder scope, where you could then manually point at things a lot easier. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I need, yeah, or two. Yeah. Or three. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Yeah. No, I think I don't think that would go over well, especially when I was like, yeah, we need to, we've had some big expenses recently. We need to really cut back. I don't think she'd be appreciated if a telescope showed up after that. But if enough people join my Patreon, see, I need to be better at plugging that too. Yeah, a wide angle view would be very helpful. Yeah, and especially like I was saying this evening when I was trying to manually align on the moon, and also like with the sun, like I know people, and I've actually thought about doing that, setting up kind of adding a kind of a finder, not a finder. Yeah, like some people, they'll use like a red dot finder for night stuff, or like there's stuff you can 3D print that I've thought about. Thingiverse. And actually I've thought about, I need to do that. I'm thinking I might go through a list of some of these things on Thingiverse and print out some of them just to try them out. But yeah, like this one, the solar alignment target, where you kind of print it and then you attach it. Boy, that's really big. But I guess the good thing is it casts the dot there, and so you can see the dot clearly. So you can see, you basically line it up and then it's in the field of view. So yeah. There's oh, that's interesting. Look at that. They took a WISE cam, and so that probably is kind of like a finder almost. Yeah, wide angle camera on your telescope. Oh gosh. I need to look at this again. I wonder. I've seen some I've seen some funny things where people kind of make almost like a Frankenstein telescope. Oh, here, Seiko, here's a pole mount for the Seestar S50. Attach it to the roof. Problem is, again, my roof is way too high. Well, now the problem is yeah, to cosmic ray for the to restart the Seestar. I mean to power it up. Yeah, that's a problem. But if you want to if you just there is actually a reboot. It's not in the app, but we have it. We have it in the. Okay, this is stacking, so I can go look at it. But first, if you go into commands, there is actually a reboot, and that reboots the internal Raspberry Pi. And Park kind of stows the telescope, but it doesn't shut it off. And I've kind of thought about if I had it plugged into battery all the time, and then I just parked it instead of powering it off, then theoretically I could keep it running. I don't know how the electronics would handle it, like running it indefinitely. Um, just parking it at night and then unparking it, or running the startup sequence to kind of bring it back up and just kind of keeping it running all the time. But yeah, reboot. And actually, when I was testing some things, or if I wanted to, when I was doing some work on the socket disconnect and reconnect logic, rather than shutting it down, I actually just used that reboot, which would kind of temporarily cause the Seestar to go offline. And so that's actually how I tested out the updates I had made a few weeks back internally to make it kind of where, because it would kind of give up if the Seestar wasn't there. Like if you start up Seestar Alp and you start without, and the Seestar was off, it would just give up. But I was like, I wanted to add the ability for it to kind of keep checking, and that way, because what was happening is I'd start up the software and then I'd go outside and push the button to turn it on, and then the software had already given up. And I'd have to restart it, but I'm like, it should just try to reconnect. And yeah, I tested that by just rebooting it repeatedly. Actually, yeah, typing in all sky. Yes, Beetroot. I was finding some things that you can help me with. The some of these different things, like the solar finder for the Seestar, and yeah, there were a few things in here I wouldn't mind trying out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the reboot. The reboot. Yeah, fam in the house. Hey, hey. Um, yeah, that's it's my daughter who I had bought a 3D printer like 4 years ago, and it was half assembled, and so she assembled it, and now she's using it. So yeah, just chatting. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, yeah. So there's some cool, some interesting things people have come up with. I mean, some of them I've bought versions of some of these things off like Etsy, before the 3D printer was working. Oh, look at that! A hang-on battery, kind of like a battery holster for your Seestar. I don't need that one because the battery I run is way too big. But yeah, and this is just on this one. There's other sites where I've seen other patterns. So anyway, yeah, 3D print all the things. Let's see. It is so bright. Okay, so this one should be running, allegedly. And, oh, okay, yeah, Pluto should be running. Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's, although the nice things, 3D printers have gotten so much cheaper than they used to be. I mean, I remember when they were like a few $1,000s for a 3D printer. Now you can get them for like a bit, like $100, under $200. Even like resin printers, you can get them for under 200, which is crazy. I mean, because I remember when those, I mean, not when they first came out, but I remember when they were a lot more expensive. Um, Now, is this actually loading? Um, I mean, it's stacked a lot, but I don't know why the image is taking a while. I mean, maybe it's having problems. Actually, this version does have the internal, the secret option, but everything looks fine. So I don't know why sometimes it. That's why I've been making changes to try to get it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know why this. Yeah. 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 3D. Um, Maybe I'll go ahead and restart this. Just, um, just why not? Because I think the live view is having problems, but that's okay. I mean, it's not going to stop the exposure, but I want to see what the state of it is because it's imaging Pluto. Okay. Oof. That is some major gradient. Must be from the. Hopefully, it's from the sun. I mean, the moon. Um, Trying to match up the. Okay. Okay. So it's in. It's in here somewhere. Let me see where this is. Okay, so that, that. I think it's this little faint dot right there. That might not show up on YouTube, but I think it's there or one of the other ones. I mean, I think once the gradients are removed from that and the image is kind of processed a bit more, it'll be more visible. But I'm gonna leave this run until it's right at half an hour, and then I'll stop it. Yeah, you can 3D print a dinosaur. Yeah, yeah. Well, this I think I think Pluto's in there somewhere. Like I think it's the not this star, but I think it's right next to it. Yeah, yeah, yes. Uh, yeah, printed. Yeah, a couple of kind of your own. Instead of always just printing out benchies, um, print out a benchy, not a benchy, a stegosauri. I mean, because you had two of them, so stegosauri. Yeah. So I think can I zoom this in? Yeah. I think it's this. I think this is Pluto. I think that one's Pluto. Let me see. Yeah, because this star, this faint dot at the tip of the pointer is this one here. So I think the one to the right here, this I think is Pluto right there. Yeah, yeah, because, and then yeah, yeah, that's Pluto right there. Yeah, so, um, oh wow, 3D printing for 15 years. Whoa. Stegosaurus. Um, yeah. Army of Stegosauruses. Uh, yeah, I don't think it was. I don't think Pluto was in the catalog because when I searched for it, it didn't. I don't think it found it, which is weird, and that might be because it's yeah no that's I mean you would think Pluto maybe it's only deep sky stuff that's in Sinbad. Like, does it have asteroids? Yeah. Let me see. Nope. Yeah, Pluto's not in there. I don't think any of the planets are. Nope. Yeah, so Sinbad must be just deep sky, which is kind of unfortunate, but oh. One is the loneliest number? I don't know. Um, yeah, okay. I think I'm going to stop this one. So what next? Pluto was very high on my list because um I want to do an animation showing it moving against the background stars. Um but what since the moon is still kind of interfering, I want to try to stick to things that I know will be kind of okay. Um I could try M33 now. Although I'm going to stop this one. Um, I'll do. I wonder where is M33? I mean, as far as my horizon goes. Oh yeah, that should be visible. Hopefully, we shall see. I guess I'm gonna let that one go for an hour, but I'm probably gonna end up restarting it a few times. Not the exposure itself, but the software because I want to try to figure out the issues. Okay, so is that right? Yep. Started. Okay. And what else? So Pluto is done. We'll figure something else. You think of the so maybe it's just the song. You just like that song for all occasions. Um M33, Pluto. Mm, mm. Did I start? I stopped the schedule on this one, right? Yeah. So, or no, whoops. Let me go schedule. Yeah, schedule's not running. So I'm going to actually go to live view and shut down the live view. Okay. So we've got enough on that. So let me see. Yeah. Yeah. Minutes to seconds. I mean, I think there was talk of, or I think there's been some effort to allow you to enter the time, as, you know, hours, minutes, seconds in that field, but I still do it by seconds. I don't think it's. Oh, the that giant galaxy. I think the problem was it was faint. It was something called, yeah, the giant behemoth galaxy. Yeah, why don't we try it? We'll try it. It's probably not going to be good because of the. But let me try that. Why not? Image giant behe giant behemoth. Oops. Actually, it's NGC 6907. Let's try that. Okay. And I'll do. But yeah, this one wasn't very big. It's it's giant behemoth galaxy, but it's kind of tiny. Although sometimes, yeah. I don't know why it's called the giant behemoth galaxy. Was it like, I mean, is it absolute terms big? Or was it somebody being ironic about it? Yeah, background track. Yeah, I don't know. So giant behemoth galaxy. Um, Grand design spiral. It's 115,000 light years across. But why is it? I mean, I don't know why that's called giant behemoth. Kind of weird. Anyway, maybe somebody was just having fun, decided they were gonna call it giant behemoth. Yeah, something like that. Um, um, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, Jovi. Jumbo shrimp. I like that. Um, but yeah, that would be cool. Convert the time. I mean, that would be handy. And also, actually, it would also be handy, just like somebody had made a change um, on the stats page because the free storage is in is just like in kilobytes or something. It's like some long number, and they added a module to basically give it a human readable format. So really something like most people aren't going to care about seconds. I mean, generally probably. So maybe always display kind of the friendly uh, version of the time. Could be good. So what state is this in? It's same. It says it's stacking. So let me look. What's the state of this one? It says this one's stacking. So let me look at that. That looks very similar, but it's in the same area as Pluto. So is that it? So yeah, this little faint area there, that's the giant behemoth. Oops. That is the giant behemoth. That, like, that's the core of it. It's like in there. Yeah. But yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, I really want to fix some of these live view issues, and I do want to fix the kind of, for lack of a better term, the modality of this, where like all these different modes don't need to be visible all the time. Like when you're in stellar mode, it should only show you certain things. And same thing with sun mode. And I need to, maybe this weekend I'll work on it, because yeah, so like Saturday would be a perfect day for me to work on like the solar mode changes and kind of split it into, like I was saying, there'll be different screens, but they'll kind of be using the same components under the hood. So it won't be completely new development. It's just kind of separating it out. And that way the kind of, the controls and stuff on the right side can be more focused. And the other thing that I had started actually experimenting with it, and it didn't work at all, with the what was it? Was it on the front end where I went to nope. Yeah, I actually had started adding code where when it switches into moon mode, it actually goes and tries to go to the moon. I mean, slew the telescope to the moon, but it didn't work because the alignment was off. But it also made me realize that there's some other functionality, like there's the sync button in that app where if you manually align it, then you push a button saying yes, and then it'll ask you, is it centered? And you say, yeah, yes. And then it'll start tracking it correctly. And so this just gets it looking for the moon, but if it fails, which it did for me, I want to add, and that'll work for the sun as well. I want to add the ability to push that button, and then, once I kind of manually align it, then you have a button in the web interface that then triggers the same action that the app does. So then it starts tracking the sun correctly. And since it'll be sunny on Saturday, I should get some time to be able to do it. Doesn't look good for observing in the evening, but at least I'll be able to do some solar stuff. So I'll be able to kind of start filling this out and hopefully getting that all in better shape. Yeah, that would be too. That would be nice. Clear dark sky charts. Oh, right. Yeah. Somebody was, yeah, that would be cool. Jovi, are you working on that? The dark sky charts? Yeah, the live view. Yeah, I mean, basically I want it, again, it'll be handy for everybody, but I'm doing it partly because like I do lunar observing, and I can do it with the one telescope because the app still works with it, and the app on my laptop still works with it. But the other telescope doesn't have anything connected to it. I can only currently control it through Seestar Alp for whatever reason. And so for me to be able to do anything beyond, it is kind of cool because I literally don't have any other way of controlling this one on the right except through Seestar Alp. So I've been imaging with it just fine. Stars, but the moon, I was able to manually align it with the moon today, but then I wasn't able to do that sync where it then starts tracking the moon correctly. So I want to add that, and yeah, and then yeah, we'll really be able to do a lot more of what you can do through the app than through this. So when you go, you should, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. There's I mean, that is something we could add. Not exactly that, but like it has kind of a more, you know, streamlined interface, like a lot of things, and then you have like advanced mode or expert mode, which turns on everything. I don't know. Maybe as we add more stuff. Um, okay. Yeah. No. Thanks for joining, Cosmic Ray. Appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in. Have a good evening. Um, all of the pythons. Um, so what was I? Okay, so I'm gonna leave this one going. This did not update, so because it should be on M33, and I think live view broke again on this one. It claims it's no. Like these messages here indicate that it's getting something from the Seestar. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop this. Yeah, I need to think about kind of better ways of recovering. I mean, because this isn't. I mean, it's fine for when I'm working on it, but I mean, and the other interesting thing about this is you get to see some of the things I end up having to do when I've written some of this stuff. Because I think so far I'm the yeah, I don't think many other people have touched the imaging code at this point. Frankly, I would prefer not touching some of this code just because it's been okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so let me see. So the problem I was having last time is this preview button. Let me on. These are kind of connected to each other, so I'm gonna separate them so I can have it. The windows not overlapping. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm actually that dark sky chart would be helpful because yeah, I mean it's helpful for many reasons, but it's also it's helpful on my live stream because I do like being able to do everything inside of SSE, and then like we were talking about having kind of this. I mean, there was a discussion today I think about like there's some functionality to calculate sunrise, sunset, twilight times in the app, um, and then there's also the like there's this kind of like um, the astropspheric thing where it shows, you know, is it clear and kind of by date and time. There's a website that has that something similar where it kind of gives you a little kind of preview, and it's you know it's kind of cool because it's somewhat accurate because like earlier today it was completely cloudy like in the afternoon, and you know this was claiming that you know it was going to be nice this evening, and sure enough everything started clearing up, you know, 6 7 p.m., maybe about 6 p.m. And anyway, so there's a website that offers that, and basically we were talking about having it like on a page, like all those kind of things, a planning page or something where it would kind of unify all that information. Um, the dark sky charts being one of them, which I think would be really cool. Yeah, no, thanks. It's like I spent a lot more time on the live view stuff, like a lot more time than I did on the web part. Um, I mean, part of it was because I was trying to figure out the format. Part of it is I wasn't as familiar with the image processing libraries in Python and some of it was also has been just dealing with network communication stuff, and then trying to get the different modes working correctly. It's definitely been. I mean, it's been neat, and I've enjoyed. I like being able to use it, and I'm glad other people have been and have been finding it helpful. But it was definitely um, probably the most involved thing I've worked on this year, code wise. Um, anyway, okay, so what I was going to do, I wonder, do I want to turn off? The problem is debugging mode produces so much junk. Let me look at this. It was, I haven't looked at it in a few days, and I'm already forgetting where it was. What was the name of it? It was exposure mode. It was exposure mode endpoint. Oh, and I'd been adding locks and stuff to it because I was like, it's getting confused, but that didn't fix it. And changing. Okay. Okay. So that is an info message. So I think I'm going to just try turning off debug logging because it's just too much. Okay. So I'm going to stop that, restart it. All right. Okay. Calling thread, get image thread, the exclamation marks. Yeah, I wonder, how's it going to be tomorrow? 20%? I might be able to do some live observing tomorrow night. But if the conditions end up being better than this, I'll do a live observing stream. But if it's not this good, I mean, if it ends up being this bad, it's good enough for me to be able to test the code. So maybe I'll do that. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Okay. So this is working. So let me go switch to preview. Sending star subscription stack. That is wrong. That is completely wrong because it switched the mode from stack to preview. But then, and I bet if I hit it again, it's like it didn't take. Oh, don't tell me it's. Yeah, I'd run into some issues where the problem is the code, like what you see here is there's kind of like that system screen. It shows there's multiple internal threads, like internal processes running at the same time that kind of together end up producing what you see. Most of the screens aren't that complicated, but this one is, because like this is pulling it from some of the old stuff. This is all new stuff. And it's like it's getting confused internally. Like this button is telling it you need to switch to preview mode, but then there's other parts that are saying no, I'm still in stack mode. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I mean it serves two purposes. It kind of shows, kind of peer behind, pull back the curtain and see what's going on to get where we are. But also Because since skies haven't been that clear here recently, I want to do at least one live stream a week, but I'm also trying to fix some of these bugs. And when I only have one clear night in a week or over 2 weeks, like I'll want to do the live stream, but then I'm like, I also have to be fix. I want to fix some of these bugs. Now, if I had a stretch of, a week where it was clear, I probably wouldn't do as much coding. I probably would have spent a couple nights fixing the issue and then, spend the rest of the nights just doing live observing, but it's fine. And plus, like I say, people get to see what's behind the curtain for who aren't looking at this. So why is it okay? So it's setting it here, and I know it knows it. Yeah, I mean, Wiley Sight and Joe V contribute to the app. I'm gonna take a sip of water here while I ponder this. It's so frustrating. And there was something I think it was like the last live stream or the live stream before, where after the live stream, I went ahead and started looking at the code after it was over. I'm like, it's still clear. I need to figure this out. And I found somewhere where I was like, oh, I think this is the problem. And I changed it, and it still was a problem. So that wasn't the problem. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, Wiley Sight is, he was probably he was the first one to look at the web interface, because yeah, he was the first one to look at the web interface, and I think he immediately started like adding stuff to it, like almost immediately. Yeah, pretty much dove in head first. Like, this is just so maddening, because it says, okay, here's the new mode. Then it gets the imager. And let me do this again. Switches from none to preview. There's something really weird going on here. And that was about a second afterwards. Unfortunately, like I say, there's several moving pieces involved, and there's something. Yeah. No, I mean, sometimes some of the small stuff has been pretty high impact, so it's not the size, it's the utility. And yeah, I mean, it's all helped improve it. I mean, when I look at kind of the initial stuff I wrote compared to what it is now, I mean, like, there's a lot of functionality, a high percentage of the functionality that I use, I didn't write. I mean, in the web interface, I mean, all the back end, I didn't write it. I made some changes. Yeah, but I didn't change the fundamental structure of it. Why isn't this working? It's so frustrating. And because, see, look, it calls this line, and it said that it's switched, but why does it say none to preview, but then it's the imaging heartbeat thread. So stop and then set the exposure mode. It's the heartbeat thread. Doesn't seem to have. Why is it continuing? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Heartbeat message thread. It has the wrong exposure mode when that runs. Why would it have the wrong exposure mode? I wonder if this is another. This might be another one of those, yeah, rabbit hole problems. Let me just try something here real quick. That can't possibly be. I don't get it. I do not get it. Let's try this again. I don't think that's the problem. But I feel like I'm grasping at straws with this. It's either something that is very obvious that I'm missing, or it's something incredibly subtle and, yeah, or tricky. Okay. Okay, so let's try this again. It's wrong, and it is wrong. So this would be, where is this getting called? In the heartbeat message thread. And it's been called in reconnect. Where's reconnect called? Where is reconnect called? Okay. Oh. It reconnects. That's the problem. It reconnects before it changes the exposure mode. Surely that can't be it. Yeah, I think I need to completely redo this logic. Like basically I need to shut everything down on the imaging, update things internally, and then yeah, I think that might be I think that's the problem. Okay. Look, it changed it. Or no, it didn't. It just stopped. It just completely stopped. um Okay, yeah. I think I'm going to have to look at this code cuz it's yeah, it's not behaving the way I'm thinking it is. And I think the other problem is when I look at this code like this, it's it's late and I'm like my analytical skills are not quite where they should be. Yeah. Yeah, I mean like yeah, it everybody's like a lot of the stuff I implement is stuff I typically want to use, but like other people use other things, like other functionality, like I had implemented mosaics because they were a little tricky. I mean, when I first created the web interface, I created a web interface for the mosaic because it was kind of a little tricky to set up all the parameters. But Wiley site, what like I think it might have been one of the first things he did was he added the image screen for when you just want to image a single thing, not as a mosaic. But because of what I was trying to do, I was trying to start using the mosaic functionality, and I was still using the app for a lot of things. So, but he wanted to just be able to do it all, and so, but then people suggest things and things that I don't do, and Wiley Site doesn't do, and others don't do, and so like it all helps make the product make the software more useful for everybody, for everybody's suggestions. And that disconnect is theoretically normal, but yeah, and you did get Graxpert in, so it stopped serving the stack. I mean, it either stopped sending images, or there's some kind of like the issue I tried to fix with the main API, where it stops responding to requests because something's like locking the thread. I wonder if it's something like that with imaging, where there's something internally that's holding on to something, and it ends up this. It may have actually happened to me just now. It may have actually happened to me because it's like loading and nothing is showing up. Yeah, I think it just happened to me. Yeah, just turned on. Yeah. Actually, that's a good thing. A good point. I wonder what the weather's like here. 81% humidity right now. Yeah, probably wouldn't. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for joining. Have a good evening. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Oh wow, yeah. The dew point here is 70, and it's supposed to get down to 71 here. So yeah, but I'm not going to run mine all night. So um, Yeah, this is frustrating because like this just stopped. And that's the other thing. I see these things where it's like task queue depth is 2. That's internal. That's an internal thing that has nothing to do with code we've written. And when I see that, a lot of times that, yeah, see, it's not loading the image. Yeah, I need to hunt that down. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not being super productive right now. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, go back to sleep. Honestly, I might have to cash it in here cuz like the thing is not I'm not able to troubleshoot the issue, and I feel like I'm just kind of spinning my wheels at this point. Um as much as I want to fix the this issue, it might have to wait for another night. And like I say, maybe tomorrow night, like if it ends up being terrible for a live stream, I might still end up using the opportunity to um uh, my giant humongous exposure finished. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I know it's kind of sudden, but I've been going for actually over 2.5 hours at this point. So yeah, thanks for joining. Let's look ahead. Tomorrow evening is iffy. If it ends up being okay, I'll do a live stream. If not, I'll just use it to try to fix these issues that I've been working through. Um, but then Saturday probably is not going to be a live observing stream. Sunday I could potentially. The only thing with Sundays, I try not to do like super late live streams. I mean, what is this? Like, look at this. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, why is it only cloudy or not as good in the evening? Like, right around the time I do my live stream. Like, it's like nice and clear the rest of the time, but then cloudy. That's just terrible. Well, sometimes that's not accurate, especially a few days out. So we'll see. But maybe I'll be able to have some live streams next week. Um, so keep an eye out for those. But in the meantime, I think I'm just going to call it an evening. Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, and thanks Dark Shades for joining the stream, and thanks for everybody else. I do appreciate it all, and I appreciate the suggestions and the support. So with that, I will call it an evening, and hopefully see you all in the next couple of days. Hopefully we'll have some clear skies, and clear skies to you all. Thanks.